Well, I'm here because Sister Elise and Don Schenkel asked me to come, and they've been friends for a while. I enjoy coming back to Fort Wayne. I don't get here enough, unfortunately. And my message simply will be, just the general guideposts that we've used at the Colts to try and succeed, and hope that they're helpful to all of the very important people that are in the audience.
And, of course, it's always hard to turn down a nun's request.
It certainly is.
To come to speak.
It certainly is.
Talk about the team this year. How are you guys feeling? And let's take it from there.
Well, we've been bitten badly by the injury bug, and those things happen from time to time. We haven't had a rash such as we're facing now in quite a while. But hopefully we've got the good enough depth to fight our way through it, and we've got a lot of work yet to do. There's a lot of football still to play. The good news is that the vast majority of fellows that are injured will be back at some point this season, and so we need to hold the fort until we can get our full squad back. But the good news is that I think that more than any other year in recent times, this NFL race is going to go the wire. It's going to go 16 games, and we have no idea now who'll be in that final six that make the playoffs in the AFC. So we just want to keep plugging away and make sure that we give ourselves the best chance to be one of them.
What is that like when you have to make that decisions for this game, this season, and then the seasons after, where you start looking at short-term and long-term? That's where the players play, the coaches coach. That's your job, where you have to give the coaches the tools that they need.
Well, our job right now in season is to give the coaches the tools that they need. We do the long-term planning in the off-season, and we make decisions based on the long-term in the off-season. But now it's let's get the 53 best players we can on the roster and the 45 best players we can get out there on Sunday, and give them every opportunity to succeed. And our coaching staff has done a great job juggling the lineup because we haven't had many of the same people in from week to week at certain positions, in the defensive backfield, tight end, etc. So offensive backfield. So we'll just keep plugging along. Our coaches do a great job, and we'll do our best to keep plugging the holes.
If there's a parallel in baseball, the San Francisco Giants limped into the playoffs, and then everyone came up healthy there in September and October, and they're one win away from the World Series. Sometimes if people are injured, they come back fresh at the end of the year. It's almost a benefit.
Well, I don't know if I'd call it a benefit, but it certainly is nice to get all those people back. And the other example that I pointed to with our staff the other day was whatever year we went 14-2 and lost to Pittsburgh in the divisional round. Might have been four or 5 years ago. I can't recall the specific year. But Pittsburgh had gone through exactly what we had gone through, and we had beaten them on Monday Night Football at Thanksgiving, and all the pundits had written them off. And all of a sudden they got healthy and came flying down the stretch and won the Super Bowl. So it can happen.
Bill, can you comment on your kicker and what's going on with him?
Pat McAfee?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he's been suspended for the Houston game, and then he'll be back after that. He made a mistake. He has to pay the penalty for that, and after that, it's business as usual. And he's a really good young guy. He just made a mistake, and he recognizes it, and we'll move on.
There was a ESPN report yesterday that Dallas Clark could be out for an extended period, or maybe even the season. What's the update with him?
I don't have an update because he is getting a third opinion today on his injury. It's a wrist injury, which is relatively uncommon, and he's having a third opinion today, and by the time I get back to the office, I suspect I will have heard from him or soon thereafter, and we'll be able to have some discussions about where we go going forward. But I don't have any updates for you right now.
Did you have to pick up another punter for the?
We're in the process of doing that, and we will, yes.
It's been a big week in talking about the reinforcement of the hits to the head. Do you have any concerns about that? Obviously, you've had some players like Clint Session and Bob Sanders who are hard hitters. You worried that they're going to have to change the way they play and that could affect them?
No, I don't think so. I'm a member of the competition committee, which recommends rule changes, and we were very clear when we made these changes this past March that hard hits were still going to be in the game. What we wanted to do was prevent the targeting of the head, neck area for defenseless players, be they receivers, running backs, whatever the case may be. Those rules are on the books. I have not yet read the commissioner's communique because I've obviously been here, but I'm certain that he's simply reinforcing the rules that are on the books and that were a point of emphasis going into the season. Now, I will say this. As Bill Rasmussen pointed out in his opening remarks, the world has changed in your business. And so I was asked on Monday by Judy Battista of the New York Times, had I seen an increase in these kinds of hits? And I watch probably 3 to 4 games on tape every week. And my answer was no, I've seen a decrease. But the 3 publicized hits have gotten a lot of publicity. But I think overall, particularly defensive backs have changed their approach. They're aiming lower, and they're recognizing that these points of emphasis existed, and I think that'll be the case going forward.
Everything's just magnified more, is that the case?
Well, I think you get a snapshot, which people presume is the entire spectrum, and it really isn't.
People talk about how players would have to change in midstream. We've played all this time. How much does that if they suddenly make them play differently?
I don't believe that people will have to change in midstream, and I don't believe they'll play any differently. Jeff Fisher, who's a great coach and an expert on defensive backfield play and an expert on defense, pointed out in March that all you have to do is change your aiming point. If you aim at the bottom of the numbers, the odds are in 99% of the cases you're going to be fine. When we have egregious examples, such as we saw on Sunday in the Baltimore and New England game, well, that needs to be penalized, and that has to change, but everybody knew that going in.
Bill, can you talk about Peyton Manning's play through this part of the season and whether it's as high a level as you've seen?
Yeah, he's playing at as high a level as he ever has played, and he's done awfully well. It's been tough for him because we've had different receivers in and different combinations, but he works so hard with them in the offseason that we can basically plug anybody on the squad in, and he does a great job. So thus far it's been terrific. I think the running game's improved. Joseph has played exceptionally well, as has Mike Hart. We're looking forward to getting Donald Brown back. That would be helpful. But he's delivered the ball. He's thrown it as well as he's ever thrown it. I see no diminution in his arm strength or anything along those lines. And he's done a great job managing the game. So I guess it's fair to say he's probably, even in his 13th year, still getting better.
There was quite a display of quick offensive play on Sunday.
Yeah, well, we went up tempo. Because we felt that was the best way to deal with all of the movement that the Redskins were giving us at the line of scrimmage. And it's very difficult for the offensive lineman to pick that up if you sit there and watch. As a matter of fact, the second play of the game, you saw that we had a false start because you can only sit there so long and watch them creep around, and pretty soon somebody's going to jump. So we went up tempo, and Peyton managed it perfectly, and it gave our offensive line a chance to get off the ball and go hit somebody, and Joseph ran tremendously, and so it worked. And, we have the capacity in our offense to do those kinds of things. We can go up tempo, we can slow it down, depending upon what the defense gives us.
It has to be frustrating when you see Joe have a great game like that and then have an injury in the same game.
Well, injuries are part of the game. I feel very sorry for Joe because he's having such a great year, but the good news is that he'll be back relatively soon.
Is it if the news with Dwight Freeney is bad, is it too late to look? Would you try to fill it from within, or do you try to look to bring someone else in?
Dwight? I'm not aware that he's hurt.
Oh,
I mean Dallas.
You mean Dallas?
I'm sorry.
Dallas. Okay. We normally fill from within. That's the way we do it. You hope that you have enough depth to be able to handle it.